Dave Chappelle's insights will astound you.
They're angry, real angry.
Orientation of what this is. On the back of this one note, you have symbolically laid out Moorish history. Here you have the transfer of the Moorish government. We, the Moors, transfer the Moorish government into the hands of the Europeans. What people are not aware of is that Moors on this landmass, you have what's called the diplomatic relations between the Moors, Moroccan Empire, and the European powers. Treaties, tribute treaties between France and Morocco, Netherlands and Morocco, England and Morocco, dating back to the 1500s. And the tribute treaties were where we agreed to not seize the European ships, to allow them to have free passage, but the agreement was as long as they paid us tribute, we would allow them to pass. Oftentimes we violated the treaties with the Moors and seized the ships anyway, and also seized Europeans and held Europeans in ransom by the hundreds of thousands. And we demanded gold, silver, porcelain plates, silver spoons. And this is the history that's been covered up. So that history of Europeans being held in servitude by the Moors and we demanding high ransom is not taught in these public schools. What is taught is that Moors were transported by over 10 million on ships from what is now known as Africa to the Americas. That is a false history, but that false history was put in place to cover up the fact that we are Aboriginal indigenous to this land. So what we did was we transferred, to preserve the Moorish government, we transferred it into the hands of European Masons. Masonry for the Europeans is the preservation, the preservation of the Moorish government. So they're actually preserving our government, and they are the trustees of our Moorish government. These are European Masons. Now, Masonry is also the preservation of the ancient knowledge of astronomy and geometry. Moors and Masonry, the restoration of Moorish land, the Moorish government, and the Moorish sovereignty. Masonry, the preparation to run the Moorish government. In order to run the Moorish government, you must understand Masonry. You must be taught Masonry in the true sense of Masonry, in its ancient sense of Masonry, that being astronomy, geometry, measurements, structure of government, because understanding, there's a phrase in the Declaration of Independence, nature's law and the laws of nature. Understanding that nature's law, the cycles of cyclical cycles, the cycles of planets and cycles of stars, and how they have an effect. The star alignments, all right? Moving right along. So I'm gonna get more detail, but I just wanted to set this right. And also below, as you see here, I have some European Masons. Who are these imposters? They are the custodials of the Moorish government. My man, George Washington. Georgie boy, all right, wearing your apron. Form of a triangle, isn't it? Spherical trigonometry, the spherical triangle, all right? Now, I was telling the young brother here that the apron covers the lower self. You have 7 major energy channels in the body called chakras, the Sanskrit word which means circle of fire. There's 12 points, 7 major energy points. The apron covers the lower chakras, the lower 3 chakras. Now the hand over the heart, standing at a 90-degree, 45, right angle, right triangle, all right, so we get on with geometry here. Standing upright with your hand over the heart, that represents the 4th chakra. So that you have your lower self and your higher self. 4th chakra, 5th throat chakra, 6th chakra, the pineal gland, the crown chakra, the 7th chakra. All right, so dealing with mind science. So there's a philosophy that goes with this.
You said mind science?
Yeah, mind of how to stimulate the higher senses of the brain, the medulla oblongata, the nervous system, the cerebellum, the pituitary gland, the pineal gland, the hypothalamus, the cerebellum. There are sciences in which geometry being one of them. Geometry being one of the sciences, as you have different shapes, as I was telling the brothers out there, different geometrical shapes have an effect on the subconscious mind, can stimulate the subconscious mind. So when you go into the cathedrals with Moorish architecture, you're going into these huge cathedrals with the geometry coded in astronomy. So the geometry and astronomy is coded in the architecture. But the science of the medulla, the Sariyantra, having an effect on the subconscious mind. So you take that out of our community, you create chaos, mental chaos in the mind. So to set order, geometry is used to set order. So we use the ancient knowledge of geometry to set order as understanding how the mind has a geometrical structure and knowing how to activate that. We also, the Germans in 1935 hired Near Eastern scholars to translate the Bhagavad Gita and other Vedic texts into German. What they discovered in studying is that we use the mind to start to fly or propel flying saucers. Remember, we only use 10% of our brain. So imagine if you increase that percentage to 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, mind. So this apron covering the lower self, dealing with that. But there's a philosophy, breath, spirituality. Spiritus means breath. Spirit, breathing, not the way you're breathing right now. I'm not talking about the way you're breathing right now. There are controlled breathing, different systems of breathing to increase the chakras. As you begin to breathe properly, you send more oxygen to the brain, activating the higher brain senses. So spirituality is the science of breathing and relating to the subconscious mind, how to activate the higher brain. That's spirituality, not almighty. No, you could do that once you increase the chakras. Now you can invoke God, coming from the Sanskrit word God, Korda. Korda means to invoke. Persian, Huta. Gothic, Gut, G-U-T-T. Modern English, God. So God is not some entity outside of you. God is what you do. God is an action, what you do. You invoke. So by increasing through spirituality, through geometry, crystals, metals, you increase this mind, energy, vibration. And so now you begin to invoke. So now what you call brings into manifestation. Our power is too low, y'all. So we're doing this prayer. It's empty because your power is low. You're dead. So we have to increase the power. Snake. Question, comment, criticism. All right. So we're all aware of this, the all-seeing eye. All right. So the all-seeing eye, once again, that's the pineal gland dealing with insight. The insight is divine. So we're not in our natural state of mind because we've been made to see things. We were made to suppress our higher mind through fear. So what the Europeans have done was apply distorted, connotated meanings to words and symbols. And so now you see, when you see the skull and bones, when you see the Baphomet symbol, you're afraid, fear. So they took your ancient science and applied fear. It's how you're looking at it. So you reject it through fear. When you see your garb, fear, killing, lynching, burning. You associate burning, lynching, killing to that. That's what they want you to do. You don't associate mind science. You don't see the cone. And they also applied a distorted meaning to it. Oh, you've been bad today, and you're going to get a dunce hat. Let me get the dunce hat. You've been bad. See that? See? See how they applied that negative, distorted meaning to it? All right, that which is divine, that deals with mind science, they distorted it to keep you from it through fear, misrepresentation. So this here, that's the pineal gland on the head. Don't you see it? Pyramids. Let's talk. All right, just putting this in proper perspective. All right, just increase the power. They also did, European linguists, distorters of history and geography and so forth, is that the snake. So if I were to call him a snake and he didn't know what it really means, and, he would be hurt, you snake. Oh, Daddy, but Abdullah called me a snake. But if he knew what it means, his ancient origin, he'd be like, Daddy, man, but Abdullah called me a snake. He said, I'm a wise man. Man, he called me a snake. Yeah, right on, brother Abdullah. Because we've been given the distorted meaning. Snake doesn't mean deceiver. The European colonists applied that meaning to it. Once again, to what? Keep you from it. So you're dealing with the snake, you're dealing with the Kundalini energy. Now look at this, y'all. Look how the snake is revered. Are they stepping on it? Are they throwing the snake? Are they cutting it up? Look how it's positioned. Where did that meaning come from? Where did the meaning of deceiver come from? Look at this. In Hindustan. Let's talk. Who gave it that meaning? Who told you that snake means deceiver? Feel free to call me a snake anytime. Thank you. I am a wise man. Why? Because my DNA, the knowledge of building civilization, of spherical trigonometry, of mathematics, of astronomy, of architecture is in my DNA. So I call on my ancestors through my DNA by increasing your mind through breathing, geometry, crystals, metals. You can call on the ancestors, what? By tapping into your cellular memory. You call on your ancestors because the DNA is the storehouse of memory. It's stored in your DNA. Europeans are well aware of this, all right? Once again, snake, all right? This is in Spain. You'll see the high, this is in Spain here. It's you know, a little higher than what you used to seeing, all right? You see that here, seven chakras, all right? It's the same propping you, orientating you to the snake. You see also the medicine, sign of healing, on the caduceus, even on ambulances. So they tell you that the snake is evil, means deceiver, yet it's on ambulances. I mean, it's right in front of your face every day. I mean, they put it blatant and they laughing at you behind your back because they have it on the ambulances and you say it's evil. Right up the rod. Going up the rod, that's going up that kundalini, going up the spine, all right? And it's also representing the double DNA. You have here the DNA, your double helix. So here you see your DNA right here, your double helix. So this has deeper meaning. This has scientific meaning. This is not just, you know, make you feel good. Man, look at those snakes. This has scientific references and meaning to this. They're not just statues. We did not just build a statue for mere building a statue. Even if we built a statue to give honor to a king, the statue was set at a certain measurement. In the book, The Temple of Man by Schwala de Libitz, The Temple of Man. He discovered through the measurements of Abu Simba that the measurements of the fingers and nose and the toes and eyelids having a measurement in relationship to astronomy. This temple of Abu Simba, the statue of Abu Simba, is not just some mere statue. It's coated with masonry, astronomy, and geometry, right in the measurement. So once you understand what this is, this company is a square of measurements, the layout of cities, long distance measurements. They have certain measurements, so the distance of the stars, distance of the earth, diameter, radius of the earth, moon, and sun. In fact, geometry means what? Earth measure. All right, moving right along. Now I'm gonna get more specific, and I'm gonna get right into that. The Temple of Quetzalcoatl. There's also the Temple of Chichen Itza. It's an observatory in Mexico. During the vernal equinox, the spring equinox, and the autumnal equinox, there's a shadow of the snake that's cast on the side of the temple. It's an observatory, shadow of a snake. So, and guess who sees this? Not us, Europeans by the tens of thousands. Are there during the equinoxes and actually see the shadow of the snake that's cast. See what knowledge they have? Here we are running away from the snake and they are running to it because they know the power of it. One, they control your education. Oh, my bad. Indoctrination. They indoctrinate you. They control your information source. I mean, they control all the schools. They control the textbooks and curriculum. They control Hollywood. Every major information source they control. So they already know how you think. I mean, they govern your thinking. They created, they structured the way you think, the way you see masonry, the way you see the snake, the way you see the composite square, the way you see the apron, the way you see, you know, the Moorish headdress, everything. They structured that for you. So this is how they made control. It's control the information source, every aspect. Tau and the division of the circle, the zodiac, and the dividing the circle into 12 parts. 1/12 of a circle. The Tau, and the circle. They're giving honor to the ancient knowledge of geometry and astronomy. It's not the ancient knowledge of astronomy and geometry that we use to build civilization. Let's talk masonry. Without this knowledge, you can't build civilization. Without this knowledge, you cannot run civilization, cannot run government. So masonry, once again, for the Europeans, is the preservation of ancient knowledge of government, astronomy, geometry, systems of measurement. That's masonry for the Europeans, the preservation of it. Masonry for us is that we're the founders of it. We're the founders, developers of it. They're the preservers of it. Two different. Founders, Europeans, preservers. All right? They flipped it on y'all. They convinced you through false education that they're the founders, all right? And then they brought you in, you know, that they bring you into what they calling their thing, all right? Because you've been taught, you know, Greek, you know, developed mathematics and, you know, philosophy. You know, they're the founders of civilization. You know, so they're gonna bring us in, you know, to their order. Oh, that's your stuff. They can't bring you in. You're the founders of it. You're the founders of civilization. No, you brought them in. You raised them up. Muhammad ibn Abdullah, 1777, extended protection to the United States. He extended the hand of brothership to them and recognized, and George Washington thanked the Sultan on December 1st, 1789, in the letter to recognizing the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. See, we brought them in. Now the roles are reversed. We got to change how we view it, all right? So here we go. You have your three here, your spherical triangle. See how they're giving honor to the triangle? Equilateral triangle, all right? And then you also see a towel. Now here you have the altar. Now the altars used to be one cube. A cube is an ancient Egyptian unit of measure. It's measurement. Now they have what's called doubling the cube. Now you want to double the cube, all right? And doubling the cube is what? Cube square, you're doubling the cube. So this is the doubling the cube. Moving from one cube with the altars of one cube now to double the cube, all right? Cube square. Now you have your equilateral triangle, all right, where the triangle used in spherical trigonometry, used in measuring the stars, used in navigation, understanding trigonometry. So now you have here your three points, the helical rising in Washington, D.C., in this part of our territory, Moorish territory, where the White House, the Capitol building, Moorish Capitol building, and the Moorish Supreme Court building, all right? The monument, Washington Monument, the Tekken, what they call the obelisk, you have the White House and the Capitol building, all make this alignment. And that alignment is representative of a star alignment of Orion, Taurus, and Pleiades. You have what's called the winding staircase. And the winding staircase, you have three sets of stairs. The first set of steps, you have three, denoting the three pole stars of Orion's belt. The second set of steps, denoting five, denoting Taurus, which is a constellation of 5 stars. The last set, the 7, denoting Pleiades, which is a constellation of 7 stars. So here, this is same alignment is in Rome, same alignment in London. There are 32. This is ancient. This is an ancient alignment. So the Europeans being the what? The preservers of what? Masonry, not the founders. Europeans being the preserver of Masonry. Once again, Europeans are the preserver of Masonry, all right? They're simply taking the ancient knowledge and duplicating it. So they slayed out Paris, London, Winnipeg, Ontario, Rome with this alignment. Why is it important? Because it's magic. It's talismanic magic, understanding the alignment of the stars and setting civilization based on this knowledge of divine law, based on the natural order, on the alignment of the stars. So the Europeans tapping into this knowledge, into this energy. So they told you that July 4th is their holiday, lying to you and you thinking that it's their holiday. They took an ancient holiday. They took an ancient star alignment and set their Independence Day based on that day. That's all. It's called the helical rising of Sirius. You set the telescope at 33 degrees. So you line the telescope up and the measurement is set at 33 degrees of arc of separation. But you see the helical rising of Sirius where the sun and Sirius rise right above the obelisk at 33 degrees of arc of separation. 33 degrees relating to the 33 vertebrates. Now we're looking at anatomy and masonry. Also the Schumann resonance, where the earth, frequency of the earth is 7.8 degrees based on the discharge of electricity. So the number 33 degrees is very, very important in ancient world culture. The Europeans knowing that, taking advantage of this ancient knowledge for themselves. They're not humanitarians. You cannot be a humanitarian. You cannot steal a people's birthright and then cut them out and then use it for themselves. Humanitarian would be that I would include you, I would share some of my birthright with you. I won't steal your birthright, and now you're hungry. I'm stealing your birthright, They're now giving your birthright to my children, right? And I have all these charity events. And look at these humanitarian acts that they're doing. They're humanitarians. How? Oh, that's your definition, not mine. That's not my definition. You can't steal somebody's birthright and then use it for your own, children, and then give them crumbs. Now here you go. Oh, let me give you a little bit. Oh man, Brother Bey, man, I was thirsty. Thank you very much. Man, you're a great humanitarian. Not knowing that, my ancestors stole your birthright 200 years ago. All right, that this is your birthright here. Come on, man. Just trying to set the record straight with this. This is your birthright. This land, this government, gold and silver, this is your birthright. And they cut you out of it. They created color of law, a colorable status, Negro color black, to take you out of civilized order. So the status, Negro color black, being set, so you go into the court. Status is already set, determined based on a negative status. You outside a constitutional fold of government. The Treaty of Peace and Friendship of 1786 does not apply to Moors classified as Negro color black. However, it does apply to Moors who declare their Moorish nationality. Same people, different status. Same people. So you have Moors who become aware of their Moorish nationality and birthright and declare their Moorish nationality and birthright and become active on that and understand the truth about Masonry and the origin of it. And you have those Moors who don't know what Masonry is, thinking it started in England in 1717, needing permission from the Europeans, can't do anything without the Europeans when they need permission from you. Come on, European, ask me for my permission to wear my fez. You need my permission to wear my fez. That's my fez. Why are you wearing my fez without my permission? Who gave you authority to wear my Moorish fez? Why are you in Indianapolis marching around with my Moorish fez? My Moorish fez without my permission. And I'm just doing this to set the record straight. They duped us. We got to reverse the polarity of thinking. Once we reverse that polarity of thinking, we're free. Because that colorable thinking distorts our reality, and we begin to review them as the sovereigns, when in fact you are the sovereign. And that Moorish headdress Moorish headdress belongs to you by birthright and not by order. By birthright and not by order. By birthright and not by order. Once you're clear on that, you're free, my brothers and sisters. If you're not clear on that, you will continue to submit your Moorish sovereignty to them and submit to them and beg them and look for them for permission. All right? And I know I'm dramatic, but I do that to get the point across. All right? Very important.